You guys, welcome to your week. This is So Bad It's Good with Ryan Bailey. This is your pop culture roundup. Listen, Sophie is off this week, so I had to call in a heavy hitter, somebody who's been on the show multiple times, but I haven't spoken to her, I think, in a while. So it's always good just for me personally to catch up because I usually don't talk to people in my normal real life, which there's really not much of that right now, but that's okay because I love talking to you guys. So this is my chance to catch up with friends. And this is somebody I met on Instagram who I think always just kills the game. Her account is at IG Famous by Dana. She is involved in pop culture. She talks about beauty standards. She has the Nip Slip, which is a ongoing conversation that you can catch right now. It has many episodes about plastic surgery and things of that nature. I have no idea where we're going to go today, but it's great to have a guest like this because I can go anywhere. So please welcome at IG Famous by Dana, Dana Omari. Welcome back to the show.
Also, I want to say the last time that we spoke was before you were with Betches. I am so proud of you. I'm so excited that you've just blown up. It's incredible.
Well, listen, I love when it's like, I don't feel like I've blown up. It's the same grind. I mean, going online or doing anything creative, it is such a grind where it's like, and I release so many episodes that I don't really even stop to take stock of how far things have gone. Or how far things have come because it's been such a intense year on top of even just work. But like, how do you feel about that yourself? Because your account has just shown insane growth over the last couple of years. And every time you come on, I ask like, how are you doing with this? I mean, you have like 260,000 or close to 300,000 followers. That's insane. I can barely keep up with what I have. I don't know how you would even, by the way, Dana, like I actively just don't open DMs most of the time. Like I am very hard to get a hold of because it turns out before any of this, I was a complete disorganized slob in my normal life. So I've carried that on to this life. How do you do this?
I don't know. I just really like talking to people. I like talking to my followers. It's just become a community, honestly. I don't like just like saying things out into a void, and I learn from them just as much. And it also like, I have a really good gauge on what do they want to hear? What are they into? So it helps that way.
What does your audience like to hear?
Oh, they love to hear anything about celebrities. The before and after post about celebrities is always like, that's the hit. That's what I think most people follow me for.
Why do you think people are so fascinated with celebrity and celebrity culture? I have been fascinated since I was a little kid, before podcasting, before Instagram, all of this. But why do you think still even to this day, we are so honed in on celebrities?
I think there's a lot of reasons. First of all, we don't really have like royalty like other countries do. Like this is our royalty, right? And then it's aspirational because there's tons of Nepo babies, but the idea is that anyone could possibly become a celebrity. And that's been made even more so by things like TikTok and YouTube and Instagram. You know what I mean? Like now an everyday person can, get their shot and really rise.
Well, I mean, I think that really is truly the difference between this generation and any other previously, is that if with these phones in our hands, we can do anything. We can go anywhere. Like TikTok has made celebrities out of. But my thing is that the question I have even watching some of this stuff is, are these people worthy of being celebrities? Like also, even like we have a show right now dissecting certain moments in pop culture. We're now dissecting everything the minute it comes out. Everything is so well treaded, well worn. Every moment is dissected. It's never been like this before. And I sometimes get worried that this machinery that I'm a part of is going to completely swallow celebrity. And we're not going to have celebrity like movie stars. I don't think can exist anymore in the way that they used to exist.
Right. Now I agree with that, but change is always awkward. Change is always hard, but we don't know where it's going to end up, and it could end up in an even more interesting or cool place.
By the way, this is what my parents told me when I went through puberty. This is what my parents told me. Hey, it's hard right now. But you might end up in a more interesting place once you get puberty. Yeah.
Right. Or climate change might kill us all in like 30 years and it won't matter, right? So.
By the way, that's the funny thing. We're going to be so focused on something that Taylor Swift did with Demois, and then it'll be like, hey guys, game over. We're getting nuked tomorrow. So yeah, we're done. Yeah.
I would rather focus on that than, a distraction.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, listen, it is amazing. And that's what I watched this Paris in Love season 2 about Paris Hilton's life on Peacock. And the first season was okay. But this second season, you guys, and I don't think you probably checked it out yet, but it just came out on Friday. And it is so worthy of your time because it's exactly what we're talking about in terms of celebrity pop culture, because Paris Hilton obviously was, from the Hilton family, and Kathy's got her own thing, which it really focuses on in season 2. But Paris, she was one of the original it girls that made, she took the first selfie, some people say. Like, there are so many things
Right.
but you see how she's almost like a Michael Jackson-like figure, where there's Arrested Development, where she still comes off like a child, even though she now has a baby. I mean, she has 2 babies now.
2 babies.
She's so private with her children that she doesn't even tell her family about having this child. So there's a really awkward scene in the second episode where she presents Kathy Hilton, her mom, with her week-old baby, and Kathy has no idea. And you would think, oh, this is fake, this is set up. You watch it and you're like, oh my God, this is 100% real. But that's how batshit celebrity culture can be now.
Right. I mean, they're always afraid that someone is going to leak a story. And it's not just her. Like Kylie Jenner, when she came out with the I was secretly pregnant this whole time, even though we kind of
with the YouTube video, YouTube video on the Super Bowl day. Yeah, totally.
Right. I don't know. I think there's that element of surprise, but then they also can control the situation a little bit better. But yeah, I mean, Paris definitely one of the first influencers, I would say. But she was the it girl, but there's that Nepo baby to it girl pipeline that I like to talk about. It's a little bit easier to become an it girl if you have a team and you have the money and the resources and the name, right? The name.
Well, I mean, even in the reality show is that Paris has this whole team of people, because she's also preparing for her first live concert, not a DJ set, but she has chiropractors. She has Mikey Minden, Erica's choreographer, working with her. She has all of these things. Even her husband seems to really be like so supportive, but it's really interesting. It's a very sheltered life, but I'm like, she has somebody for every nook and cranny of her body, her face, her makeup, her hair. And I'm like, how the fuck do any of us do it at home? Like, my back hurts right now. I can't go to a chiropractor.
Right. But that makes me think of when Kim was saying, we all have the same 24 hours in a day, and, everyone needs to get up off their houses and work. And I was like, sweetie, your 24 hours in a day is with assistants and nannies and private chefs and housekeepers and whatever. So you have a little bit more free time in your 24 hours. Some of us are like, I work outside from home, not me anymore, thankfully. But other people, they leave the house to go work and have to come home and then start dinner and then do the laundry and then do the dishes and take care of the kid. We don't have the same 24 hours in a day.
I mean, you said this at the beginning of the show, which I always find fascinating. You said celebrities have always been aspirational. And my argument nowadays is, are they aspirational anymore? Because people like us immediately see through a lot of the bullshit, and we kind of pick apart at this carefully constructed life. So the celebrity now, and I'm speaking of Kardashians and specifically, they have to work even doubly hard to present a real life. I'm putting that in quotation marks, because we pick apart at everything, every face move. I mean, every face surgery they do, every deflating of the buttocks, any of that we pick apart. Now, do you think celebrities still can be aspirational?
I mean, I think they're aspirational. In fact, in that, there's a lot of bullshit, but I would like that to be my bullshit. I would like for my bullshit, I don't have to, that I can go and buy whatever I want, go on whatever trip. And I'm like, oh, here, take care of the house, take care of the kids. I'll see you in 3 days after I get back from Paris Fashion Week. I would love for that to be my bullshit. And it's kind of like the whole billionaire thing. Everyone, thinks that they're going to be a billionaire if they just work really hard or get that right idea, they're going to become a billionaire. And it's it's aspirational, but it's not likely.
I mean, what do you think you would do differently if you continue on this path and then all of a sudden you are a household name, a big celebrity? What would you do differently studying the celebrities that you studied thus far?
Well, I know that they're trying to be relatable. And what I think is more relatable is just being honest and open about things, not, no, I'm just like you. I also work. No, I'm just like you. I do my own makeup sometimes. That's not that relatable. And we know that it's bullshit. I mean, I'm sure they do their makeup sometimes, but you know what I mean? It's bullshit. I mean, I would want to be a little extra. I want to be like Zsa Zsa Gabor, like, look at me. Like, I have this ridiculous life and I'm very blessed and I'm lucky. But look at all my like crazy things. I don't know how I got into it. I lucked out, but here I am,
Well, I mean,
you
you
know?
always
But then also,
Well, I mean, you're always honest about your journey, though, in terms of your working out, in
thank
terms
you.
of your, like, I mean, you've always shown that, like, before and after, and what you went through, and how you had to work out on top of this. And, like, you're always very honest about that. I was watching I went and saw the Beyonce Renaissance movie last night. I went to the theater, and now here is somebody I think arguably, superheroes don't exist, but I think Beyonce is one of the closest things we have to a superhero. But it is interesting to watch it. And I think celebrities get to a certain like billionaire status or close to, and they start, I think it's even so unfathomable to even them, their life. And they work like Beyonce, you see her working her ass off with obviously a huge team of people, but they start speaking in like, we need the vibes to be immaculate. We need space to be able to like, they start talking like they're Confucius or some kind of like Zen god. And you see the Kardashians do this a lot on their show now with the Kardashians on Hulu, which you guys don't watch, but I think you should because it is so wild in terms of celebrity pop culture. But they all talk, they get to a certain thing where they start talking like they're in the Bible.
No, I agree with that. I don't know. I think it's just at a certain level, not even just celebrities, but you think about like the CEOs or whatever, and they have all these like weird quirks, like, oh, I have to have this specific tea from, the
Yeah.
mountains of Caucasus, like flown in once a week, freshly ground, like before I can start my day, and it has to, have to have it exactly at 6 a.m. If I have it at 6:15, like everything's throwing off the vibes. Like I'm like, okay, you guys have the privilege to say and do that. I mean, Gwyneth Paltrow, I feel like talks like that in these weird, like high, lofty words and phrases that really don't mean anything. It's almost like corporate speak.
Yeah. Oh my God.
You
It's
know what I
celebrity
mean?
corporate speak. That's genius. It's celebrity.
Right.
Well, even in the Beyonce movie, she has this like, there's little documentary footage interspersed without the concert. It's mainly a concert, you guys. So don't go expecting a documentary.
Right.
But she talks about, she's like, before the show, I have a turkey sandwich, and then I have my shot of freshly ground ginger juice, which like helps me. And I love that. I mean, by the way, guys, it's a sad looking turkey sandwich. And I was like, damn, dude, like she's a billionaire. She's working her ass off and she gets this measly little turkey sandwich. Like I can eat 4 times that in one sitting from like, Jersey Mike's or something like that. And she has this, looks probably the healthiest turkey sandwich you've ever seen. And I was just like, damn, it is so wild. And I would imagine even for them, it's got to be so hard to imagine so many people having an opinion about you. Like we have an opinion about everything, me and you, Dana, but like
Right.
imagine
Absolutely.
all the eyes on you. And I think Beyonce has won that game in a lot of ways because, we now elevate her to conversations about artistry and art. But then you look at the Kardashians and they're elevating consistently, but it is still like, it's almost, we sometimes look at it as a house built on lies.
Right. So I feel like the difference is that Beyonce has worked with things, and not to say that the Kardashians don't have any talent. I want to get that out of the way, but that she's working in artistic fields like, her music, like even her music videos is like art versus the Kardashians. I know that they're building businesses, but more like consumer. You buy one of my,
Yeah.
bodysuits, or you buy my lip kit, whatever it is. It's just more transactional, and it's not, I don't know, it's just not as lofty as art, right? Like they're not.
Well, they want
Like,
it to be.
I know they're trying to step into it. They want
that's
to.
what's so funny
Yeah.
is that you always get the sense that Kim, I mean, we put this on Kim a lot, is that she's probably seething that she is a multi-billionaire. She's richer than Taylor and Beyonce at this point, but we don't look at her as an artiste. Like she's now.
Well, she's not. She's a business.
Well, that's why
she's a business.
Did you see her yesterday at the Balenciaga Balenciaga now has a partnership. Oh my God, you guys, with Erewhon, which is the most expensive, snooty, like grocery store in Los Angeles. And they now have a collaboration with Balenciaga, and Kim wore an outfit and had a Erewhon shopping bag with her. And I just thought, this is so funny. But to me, I think that's where Kim thinks she's exhibiting artistry.
Right, but even then, that is what other people are dressing her as, or other people who have created this. It's not like she's creating it. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
no,
Like, at the end of the day, she's still a
well,
businesswoman.
even think about in terms of businesses. It's not like Chloe was sewing jeans in her garage that became Good
Right,
American. Is that, people with amazing ideas brought this to the Kardashian Jenner family, and Chloe did believe in the product and put her whole weight behind it. But that's what, it's like Kylie Jenner. Like I always used to joke about Kylie. It wasn't like she was in the lab, like putting lip kits together
right,
and like she knows the chemical
right.
balance of this and
And,
that. No,
and testing. Yeah, no, basically it was already a pre-made product and she just maybe went in and put colors. Maybe,
Yeah.
maybe.
Well, I mean, listen, she had an origin story of my lips were thin and I wanted to cover them up. So I got really into lip stuff. So on its face, that sounds really good. But for all of you guys out there listening, don't get it twisted, is that you have to be at a certain point in your wealth or your celebrity to be able to get that idea brought to you that you can explode with. That's just how it seems to work these
Right.
days.
Exactly. I mean, they're just, like I said, back to it, they're businesswomen, right? They are investing in these companies that are already existing or these ideas that have already been made into a plan. And then they fund it and they're like, put my name on it. And of course, these companies are like, I would love for you to put your name on it because then it's going to blow up. Kylie's line is basically ColourPop. So you're paying twice as much. I mean, it's the same company that makes ColourPop. ColourPop is about $10 a lipstick. Kylie sells it for 20. So you're paying double for the same stuff. Now the colors are different because ColourPop and Kylie can't they don't use the same colors, obviously. So
Okay, just devil's advocate. What's color pop? I'm a man.
it's a makeup. It's a really nice but very inexpensive drugstore makeup
Okay,
brand
got it.
that is already on the market. Yeah.
I want to get back to the Kardashians in a second, but I do know you actually point out a lot of face work and body work that people get done. And this is something that I've been meaning to talk about on the show, and I didn't find the right entry point. But there is a comedian out there right now that has really blown up over the last couple of years, this year specifically. His name is Matt Rife. He has a Netflix special out there right now. And I don't think his comedy is for me. I wasn't finding it super funny. I don't know if I'm the age or if I'm the wrong or right sex to watch this. I just didn't find it personally funny, but like shout out that he actually is where he's at. He's making a great living. But a lot of people online have been pointing out the insane amount of face work that he has had done. He does have like this insane jaw structure. His body's all ripped up. I think he got he blew up supposedly on TikTok with his crowd work at comedy shows. And a lot of people say that's why his Netflix special doesn't really hit as hard because it's a big, big arena or theater and it doesn't do the crowd work element to like what everybody saw on TikTok. But the interesting story is that a lot of people have accused him of this insane face work. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, maybe you can walk us through this, that his doctor or a doctor actually did a little shady post about Matt Rife.
Right. So first of all, I don't think he did like a lot of insane work. I think he did just a little bit of work.
That he
But
grew a
that's all it
chin.
takes. All
He
it takes
grew
is
a
a little.
strong, that
Yeah,
strong of a chin.
right. Right. My brother just recently had that surgery and he looks incredible, looks amazing. And honestly, his transformation is still not as insane as Matt Rife's. And when people are like, well, maybe he just grew up, that doesn't happen in 1 to 2 years. Like if you see pictures of him from just a few years before and then 2 years later, it is a big difference. But I just want to say, I think it's probably just one or two procedures along his jawline. We can talk about that later if you want. But anyway, what was so funny is, so he got quote unquote canceled, or people were calling him out for to be canceled because in the Netflix special there was a lot of domestic violence jokes that were just, and it wasn't just like one, it was like an
Yeah.
ongoing, like long, very painful thing to sit through. And one thing about Matt is that what made him famous was women. Women made him famous. He had more than like 70% female followers. That is practically unheard of for male comedians. And it's insane to me because what a way to drop the bag, because women have more spending power than men and women buy things. Like the way that he could have really leaned into that and, elevated himself, but instead he wanted to make himself for the boys. And, here you go. You're for the boys now. Anyway, he was calling to people were calling to cancel him. And Dr. Benjamin Coughlin, I'm sorry, Dr. Benjamin Coughlin out of Chicago made a funny little post where he said something along the lines of, when you give your patient like a jawline of the gods, and then they're getting canceled. That's all. Like, he didn't name him, didn't tag him, didn't anything. And the other thing about Dr. Coughlin is he's not like a huge plastic surgeon on social media. It's not like he has 100,000 followers and all these people are seeing. I think when I checked, he had like 10,000 or less, maybe not even 10,000.
Loser.
So anyway, but what I'm saying is that like when he makes a post like this, the reach isn't
massive. Yeah.
as crazy. Right. It's not like if, I don't know, someone else, posted it. It's like, well, they have 1 million followers, so everyone's going to see this. So Dr. Coughlin makes this like joke post, tongue in cheek. Doesn't mean that he's definitely Matt Rife's surgeon, but Matt Rife went to his page and commented something not even funny, like, I could sue you for this, basically. It was like his comment. I can't remember exactly word for word. It wasn't like funny. It was kind of, he was mad. He was angry.
It was like something like, this goes against doctor-patient laws or something,
Yeah, something that was like, sir. And I'm over here like, a hit dog will holler. A hit dog will holler. You guys keep telling us stuff. Like, if he just ignored it, honestly, we might not have ever seen it. I might not have ever seen that post. And now we're all talking about it. So.
Yeah.
Matt?
This is what he commented. He said, lying about medical history is illegal, just FYI. And so this... Yeah,
that's not...
No, funny, and this doctor never named him, and...
Never. Didn't tag him, nothing. Didn't even say he. Just said when you give a patient, like, jawline of the gods, and then they get canceled, or they're getting canceled or something.
Why is it so upsetting still in the year of our Lord 2023 to admit that we have done things to our bodies and our faces and things of that nature?
Because we're just naturally hotter than you, duh. I don't want you to think that you can just pay and look as good as me. I'm just naturally like this, and I lucked out. Sorry.
Yeah. Well,
that's what I really think it is. Superior genes. I don't know.
Dana, you cut out.
Yes.
Oh, you just cut out for a sec. I just marked the time to take out.
Okay.
I mean, my thing with Matt, though, is that shouldn't he work on his stand-up more than he should be concerned with his face at this moment?
I mean, funny. I agree. But also, I mean, they go hand in hand, right? Unfortunately, the more famous you are, the more attractive you are, the more likely people are going to maybe see past maybe a stupid joke. If you're super attractive, you get away with some things, right? Like,
bad
acting. Like, the bar for us to like be really impressed by you is a little lower.
Totally. I mean, we are more. I mean, listen, I think the cast of Vanderpump Rules, the men in the cast of Vanderpump Rules benefit from that so much. I mean, even Sandoval is like, he was so nice and he's so attractive. And I'm like, I think we've all agreed that they're attractive. Yeah. Like, so they don't have to follow the same rules that society expects a lot of us, the rest of us to follow. They don't have to do it because they're on a TV show and they're good looking.
There's a lot of studies about people who are more attractive and people who are taller, people who are thinner or fit. They're just already perceived on the jump as smarter, better, nicer people, more qualified on the jump. So.
Yeah, no, I mean, I find that really interesting. And by the way, there takes a lot of work into making the decision to even better yourself, even in terms of face or body surgery that, or adjustments. That does take a lot of work and putting your nose to the grindstone of trying to achieve a certain look that will actually put you further out there. But I think that it's interesting once they do get put further out there, they get the attention that they so desire. Then if the actual foundation isn't solid, if the comedy isn't there, you're going to get torn apart for the actual thing that you're there to do in the first place.
I agree.
And that's why I find the Kardashians interesting, because they actually kind of, if you want to say, rose to the challenge each time. Like, they did extreme, to me, body and face, adjustments.
Oh, yeah.
But they actually always had something in their hip pocket, some kind of relationship with somebody bigger than them, a product, a TV show. It's kind of went in this lockstep every step of the way, where I don't believe we will ever see a time where the Kardashians might have minor failures at this point, but I don't think we'll ever have a major failure of a Kardashian in our lifetimes. That's my prediction.
I agree. I agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, it's like they're so rich and powerful now, unless there's some sort of like banking crisis. I don't see, I mean, they'll have tragedy like death and things of that nature. But in terms of public, being out there in the public eye, really the world is their oyster at this point, and they've now accumulated so much wealth and power that I don't see it going any other way. Even the Hulu show, it doesn't do that well, but it doesn't matter. All it is a commercial anyways with little bits of truth sprinkled in.
Right, which is why I told you I don't actually watch the show at all. The internet does a great job of curating for me. Everything I need to see, I find it on TikTok, on Instagram. I find it against my will. Everything is just on there, and I know the rest of it is just them advertising their businesses, them maybe trying to put out there like a narrative that they want, and then like shaking salads.
Well, I mean, listen, I love a Kourtney Kardashian shaking salad moment, but you're right though. Like what I find interesting about watching reality television now is what the producers and what they're trying to push to us, and then reading between the lines. Like that's why I found Paris in Love season 2 so interesting, because they were trying to push this certain narrative, which I think they did a decent job at. But then there was this other narrative underlying that the audience will pick up on that I think is even more fascinating. And I find that with the Kardashians as well, because this season was almost like propaganda trying to get Tristan back into our hearts and minds of like, he's not that bad of a guy, you guys. And I'm like, you say you're not even fucking with him. Why are we putting him on the screen? Like, he better be with you right now if you're going to pump him this hard on the show to make him look like a good guy. This guy has failed upwards by cheating.
Right. No, it's the soft launch. They're soft launching. Like if we just like endear America to him, then when Chloe finally goes, we've been together, we're going to be like, oh, love that for you. Even though we're not. I'm sorry. We're not. Well, I can't speak for everyone.
Yes,
I will not. I'll be like, girl.
I like Chloe a lot, but my problem is, yes, Tristan is amazing when the cameras are on. Yes, Tristan is good when he's in that environment with you guys. I have no doubt he is the best father and husband when he's in that environment. That's not the problem. It's when he gets onto that fucking basketball court and away from all of you nut jobs that he actually explodes and makes really horrible decisions. It's like an addict of some sort. That's the issue here. But I love that this season, even Kris Jenner gave him a job, like called in to Disney ABC to get him a job as an ESPN anchor. And I was like, that's amazing. Completely makes a fool of your daughter. Not one, not two, not three times. And you get him a dream job. How amazing is that for him?
Right. That is the rich people version. Actually, my friends and I were talking about this yesterday. That's the rich people version of like the parents who see that their daughter is dating like a broke guy who doesn't really have a good job or whatever. So they like buy the diamond or give him a diamond for the engagement. Or like daddy gets him a job at his daughter, like, or her, the daddy gets him a job at his place, at his, office, so that his daughter can live a good life. I'm like, that's the ultimate rich people version.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I think that's what's so fascinating about that family, though, is getting to read between the lines, getting to see celebrity pop culture and what they're trying to present to us and their publicists are trying to present to us and what's actually happening under the surface. Sorry to get back to Matt Rife really quickly. What are the two surgeries that you think that he's had done, or the work?
So I can't know exactly because there's different ways that you can do it, but I think he had a jawline augmentation. So for example, my brother had jaw implants, but there are other things you can do. And then I think he had a chin augmentation. It's called, oh my gosh, I can't think of it right now. A genioplasty. So genioplasty, they cut your chin, they pull it out, then they put like usually a titanium like rod or like flap. So your chin is completely severed from your face. And then it actually grows back together. It like your chin bone reforms back together a little. You can pull it out. You can pull it down. My brother had that done too. I got to be in the OR. Dr. Rodman, she's fabulous. She's known all over the world for this.
Wait, Dana, you're saying they can shape your brother can shape his jawline right now, or just at that time when it first happened?
No. It's the surgeon did. So basically she cut into his gums, like pulled all of this down, exposed his chin, sawed his chin completely off, attached a metal rod, a titanium rod, and she pushed it like out a little and a little down to change the shape and angle of his chin. put it all back together. In 6 months, that bone is going to resorb back together, like grow back together. I mean, because she only moved it like, like this much, like not even half a centimeter, but that makes a huge difference in like the projection of your chin, your face. And then he's going to have a solid chin, his bone sitting differently, poking out a little differently. And now his face is more like balanced. My family we have a little bit of weak chins. So.
Well, Dana, first off, I'm going to vomit. Second off, this is actually, isn't this what Stassi Schroeder from Vanderpump Rules had done too? Because she had a very weak chin.
So she did something different. It's still a chin augmentation, but what she did was she had a chin implant. So it's just like a silicone implant. It looks almost like a helmet because it's got little straps that go to the side. That can move, but it's also not her chin. It's a silicone implant. The genioplasty is permanent. It's your actual bone. It is obviously a little bit more in depth of a surgery, but like if someone touched you, it can't move. It's your chin.
I mean, God, you made it sound like you're their brothers. I thought it was like a transformer where it was like, I feel a little bit more pointy today, and you could move it down and move it up. And has your brother healed from his surgery?
So he had it in September.
What month are we in right? So we're in December. Oh my God.
Yeah. So he's healed in terms of like, everything, stitches, everything is good, but surgery takes usually 6 to 12 months to like really settle. He's still a little swollen, especially his jaw from his jaw implant. So he got the silicone implant similar to Stassi's implant for her chin. But because of the bone, like the genioplasty is going to take at least 6 months for that bone to really like grow together and like become his chin. So it's looking at more to about a year for him to really settle and fully heal. But he looks
now,
incredible.
Dana, you are an expert in this. Did he do this of his own accord, or were you like, what up, bro? Let's do a chin thing with you?
No, I would never do that. When people ask me, what do I need? I'm like, nothing. And they're like, no, tell me. I'm like, well, what bothers you or what do you want to enhance? So it's totally different conversation. But no, he's always wanted a more masculine jawline and then like a stronger chin. And he'd been talking about it for a long time. And I was like, look, I know the perfect surgeon. She's in Houston and she is one of the most incredible surgeons for this specific surgery. Let's go. He had the consult. He loved her. He loves his results. I actually have a highlight. It says Dr. Rodman. There's nothing gory in there because it's Instagram and I don't want to be like, I'm pissing Instagram off all the time. I'm trying to do my best. But I do show like the implants and I show like, there's nothing gory, but if you want to see it, and then I show the immediate before and after. And at 6 months, I'll post an update. So you should check it out.
I like that you are fans of surgeons like, certain people are fans of sports players. You're like, amazing surgeon, really having a killer year in 2023. Some of the best work I'm seeing out of Houston in a long time.
Actually, for her, it's international. Okay, she is incredible. So she is known for facial feminization and masculinization surgery. So she does work with a lot of gender affirming care, and she just does faces, and she's incredible. But yes, not all surgeons are equal, and it's not like, oh, just because they have the most followers, it means they're the best. That's the way to look at it. But you can know how to like do a surgery and not necessarily have an eye. If that makes sense. Like you can know how to cut up a nose and shave off things, but not necessarily be able to look at someone's face and go, that small of a nose isn't going to look that great. Like the way that, the proportion of this or that, this is going to be a little bit better for them. You have to have the artistic eye along with that skill set. And so not every surgeon has
Did you see that video from like a week and a half ago? Caroline Stanberry from Real Housewives of Dubai and her husband, Sergio, she went in for a facelift and he videotapes himself, picking her up for the first time. And he's like, my camera was accidentally on. And his reaction's like, oh, like horror. And she's like in the car. And by the way, this is an elective surgery that she had done. And he's like, I feel so helpless trying to take care of the woman that I love. And it was like so dramatic.
It was melodramatic. It was beyond dramatic. It was soap opera status dramatic. I was like, sir.
I was like, you did not accidentally film yourself. You like, I accidentally filmed my first reaction.
He was like crying.
Yes,
he was crying. I was like, Sir, if you're crying about anything, it's probably about how much it
I
costs.
said, but also, like,
So-
if you're crying over this, get ready for the next 10 years, buddy. Turns out we get older every day of our lives, some of us. And this is how you're handling this. But I find it interesting of doing this under the auspice of sharing, of opening up this journey, when in a sense, it's like this two-way street of it's content. Like, even with Matt Rife getting
Right.
so-called canceled, we all know about him. I'm talking about him. We're all talking about him. And I've noticed a
Right.
change in pop culture these last couple of years where getting canceled, you know, it's like this funny thing that we say that doesn't really exist. Like, it hurts momentarily, I'm sure, for these people to have so much shit talked about them. I mean, I hear bad things about myself here and there, and it fucking floors me. I can't imagine what it's like to have millions of people feel it, but it does bring you to a whole new audience that you did not have access to before. We all can't be Beyonce, you know?
I agree. But also, this is how I handle it. And I feel like this would really help you. What other people think about you is not your business.
It isn't, but I think sometimes when they get something like a key fact wrong, or I think sometimes it's frustrating when you're like, oh, I do this show that most of the information, even about me or even how I behave, is in this show. And if you don't listen to it, or that's what's funny is that, Dana, and you know this too, even with it's like, wow, I understand sometimes what these, and I'm like a mini peewee person in any of this, but you start to realize you're like, oh yeah, like you can't control that narrative. It really is nothing that you can control.
I know. That's why I said it's not your business.
But that's wild.
It's not your business.
It's just frustrating.
What they say. Yeah. I understand, but like at some point you get to the point where you're like, who is, you know, brunette 123 who's saying that she hates my hair. Okay.
Well, I had Uba on from Real Housewives in New York a couple weeks ago, and she was like, it's always like banana 353 with no photo. Like it's always an account that like they don't use their face. They've started an account just so they can talk shit. And I find that like so fascinating. And I was just trying to even think back in my, you know, like, did I ever do that? Did I ever just troll for troll's sake? And I'm like, I'll troll in terms of like a meme, or I'll troll in terms of giving my honest opinion about them in a humorous way. But I've never gone so far as to go to a page and leave a nasty comment.
No, I agree. And I wouldn't consider what you do or what I do trolling, because first of all, we're keeping it on our own platforms and we're giving our opinions, and we're not faceless. Like we're saying it with our chest. We're standing behind it. If we get new information, we do go, oh, well, maybe I was wrong about that. Whatever. We're like that. But I don't go to someone's page and go, you suck. Like with all this stuff happening, like with like Tom Sandoval, for example, like I didn't go and go, you suck. I was just like,
oh, I didn't say that ever on his page, but I said it very much in the show. Yeah.
Right. But I'm just saying we're not bringing ourselves to them and putting it in their face and whatever.
Well,
and even then, if we did, we'd probably do it from our real account.
Yeah, I mean, like, listen, I can't get away, unfortunately, from my name or who I am. But Dana, I meant troll in just the terms of how I look when I'm doing it. I take on troll-like features, and I've not gotten any kind of augmentation yet. Well, no, actually, that's not true. I did get some Botox around my eye and in my forehead from this amazing place in Gilbert, which, by the way, I'll talk about that at the beginning. And I did this like the week that my mom died, and I didn't realize she was dying that week. And I was going to even interview them, and I still have to, because it's this great shop and they were so amazing, and they walked me, and Maritza came up and we went through it, and it was like interesting to have that first thing. But this lady was so knowledgeable and took me. I did make one mistake, because they even did it's like a 3-week checkup. And it was right before my mom's funeral then. And I was like, I look dead. And we were going and looking at the work they had done, like, you know, in the forehead and stuff. And my forehead could still move. And she said something of like, oh, like people. And I think I missaid something. I was like, yeah, make it not move. And then she did. And it was like just it was like completely frozen. And I was like,
oh, you became a Real Housewife of Beverly Hills.
Yeah, I was like, and now I can have a little forehead motion again, a little bit. Yeah. But it was tasteful. It wasn't anything crazy, and they were amazing. But it is interesting having your first experience with that. And I could see where if you had the money, that I would continue to do things like that, to have upkeep or to make myself feel better about myself. But it's a slippery slope. Like I said, like, when I went too hard on that forehead in that moment. And I was like, whoa. And I noticed, I was like, I can't move my forehead. I was like, oh my God, I did say, make it not move, which is really clear what I said. And then I was like, why did I say that?
Well, but now you can at least be like, hey, you can have Botox and move your forehead, and also you can ask for it to not move. And you've tried both, and you know what both are like. You've had both. Because I love when people are like, I don't have Botox, look, I move my forehead. I'm like, I do too, girl. I can move my forehead too.
Well,
and I'm regular with mine.
I mean, my main concern with it is just financial. Like, it's not anybody can do whatever they want. Personal autonomy is something that I think everybody should fight for.
Right.
Yeah, Britney Spears included on that, folks. But I do think that's interesting. You did bring up Tom Sandoval a second ago, and I did want to bring this up because I wanted to get your opinion. We're coming into a new season of Vanderpump Rules in January. It feels like this thing has never left. The cast can't have grown that much because they filmed this, like 4 months after Scandal broke. They all have podcasts now. And the artist formerly known as Raquel, Rachel Leviss, she made a big comeback this week, folks. She has a podcast coming out like we had all predicted. I mean, I thought she was literally, my personal opinion and what I was admiring about her was I really think, to use a Tom Sandoval phrase, I thought she was going to dip out of public life and go back to school, get a normal life. But no, we now have the answer to that this week. She is hitting it hard. Her podcast, which I talked a little bit about on Friday, is, what's it called? It's like Rachel Rebels or Rachel Goes Rogue. Rachel Goes Rogue.
Yes.
And
yes.
She did her first red carpet on Friday at the Kiss Jingle Ball 2023 with a lot, Flo Rida was there. A lot of celebrities were there. And Rachel Leviss was there doing twirls on the red carpet, looking like the Rachel.
She looks really good, though. She looks so good.
This is not anything to, like, she looks great.
Right. No, I know. I just needed to say she looks really good. Probably the best I've ever seen.
Looks amazing. What is your take on Rachel's public comeback? And I also want to point out, if you didn't listen to the Friday show, guess who produces Rachel's podcast? That's right, Miss Bethany Frankel. She's Frankeling all over again. I call her Bethany Frankel. I'm not going to do her the honor of calling her Frankel. Bethany Frankel to me is dead and gone. Bethany Frankel is here to stay. What do you think?
So a lot of things. I knew she was going to dip out in the public eye because I feel like she dated James and I think stayed on the show with James to be on the show. Like, I think she's always been. And then I've had followers who knew her in college and they're like, she's always kind of been like this. She's always been kind of a social climber. So I already knew she wasn't going to do that. Now, a podcast, I think, is an interesting choice because even you and I have made fun of how she talks. Lala has talked about how she talks. She's not quick with it. She talks very slow. But, like, what are they going to do? Put her podcast on, like, 1.2 speed? Because I cannot listen to a podcast where she's just like, and guys, listen, the way it happened.
You sound
was not
okay. You know what? I will give her credit. So she used to have a shaky voice in when she would like, and she's on.
That's a vocal fry.
But she had a really wild vocal fry, even more than I've heard in most people. But she's on her voice more in the clip that she puts out, but you're right. She talks so slow, like she's trying to be on her voice. She's trying to be on her voice.
But she also talks in circles. It's like, get to the point. I know that a lot of us can go on tangents and things like that. But
not
it's more
here. This is a tight show.
Right. Like, you have a manager that's like, next topic. No, she really is like, so I mean, I know I just said I use filler words, but she has filler phrases and like the way that it was that you were saying and almost just say it, just say it, just say what you're trying to say, baby. And I feel like I always think about Lala. That's like, okay, and come on, let's go. I know you can do it. You got it. Come on, you got it.
Well, I want to talk about this comeback seriously because it is funny, but I want to talk about it seriously and what I think is going to happen. And what I'm hoping this podcast isn't, but I think it will probably turn out to be, is a Vanderpump season 11 recap pod. Where she will talk about week after week of this is what's crazy. Tom says this and it's actually this, which I think is great to have your voice out there if you're trying to defend yourself to some nature. But what I realized when I saw her at the Kiss Jingle Ball is that I think there is a very good chance now that she will come back for season 12.
Okay, well, can I tell you what I agree with you. I think she's trying to get back because they offered her, they wanted her back. So I think she's trying to get back. But can I tell you what I want out of her podcast and what I think would be super effective?
Fun, flirty tips on how to get a guy?
Right? How to get your best friend's guy. So in her bio, she changed her Instagram bio to redemption era. So she's in her redemption era. So what I think would be really interesting is if in her podcast, she's just telling stories about her life and experiences that she's gone through to help us understand her. Because she said over and over, she doesn't feel like people understand her. She felt like Tom was one of the only people who understood her or knew her. Remember, she was saying that to Ariana, like, he understood me. And I think if she gave, and, you know, she does have a very interesting story, like she's adopted, and, you know, all these other things. I think if she told us, like, just her origin story, why is she how she is? Some things, maybe like her struggles with mental health, and she can tie it in with some of the things that were going on last season. I think that would be a hit. And if they speed it up to 1.2, where I will listen.
If we want to get into the podcasting minutia, I think, well, first off, I think it's wild that Bethany's producing this, because Bethany, when she was on the 3-part Bethany Frankel pod with 8 million ads, Bethany said, how dare Bravo capitalize over your story? And now it's, let me capitalize over your story. And I thought Bethany did a horrible job at those interviews, because I left knowing that Bethany was upset at the reality reckoning, but I still missed all of the details about what the actual relationship between her and Tom was. Tom and Warren, you know, exactly. I want to know all. I do. And here, Rachel, if you are listening, I'm not even joking. You need to make sure those 2 episodes are in the can and they are edited within an inch of their life. Take out all the pauses. You don't have to do it like I do my own edit, but like Bethany, how iHeart do it. You make sure those 2 episodes are, because she has a real shot. We will all tune in for 1 to 2 episodes like I did with Tom Sandoval's podcast, and then make that decision. And if she can prove for the first time in her life that she is an effective communicator, then this could be an avenue for her. It's just that she has an uphill climb in this venue with public speaking.
I agree. And, you know, also she needs to utilize, like, she has a PR team now. She needs to utilize media training. I used to do that. I volunteer if you need. She needs some media training, honestly. But like I said, even that, if you speak very well, but you don't have good content, or you're just regurgitating, we don't want to hear the story over and over. We don't want to hear the same story. But now we can create a narrative where we're talking, these are the things that happened in my past. This is how it connects to last season. Juicy. That could be a TV show.
Well, I mean, I think that's where we're eventually getting back to. Also, I want to point out, Face Reality 16, an account I love on Instagram. She had Rachel Levis's story. I don't follow Rachel anymore. But she said Rachel in her stories posted this quote, "This comeback is personal. It's an apology to myself for putting up with shit I didn't deserve." And I think, good on you, girl. But at the same time, remember, it does take 2 to tango. Like, come on, let's not, I don't like when celebrities rewrite history, that a lot of it has been out there. At the end of the day, made a horrible mistake. Let's not turn yourself into a martyr of Joan of Arc. Let's say, yeah, I did this mistake. This is what I was thinking. I thought I was in love with this man. He was telling me that he wasn't even with Ariana. Tell us that real story. But don't position yourself now as like a folk hero, as Paul Bunyan. Like do not go around doing that. Be honest with us. And if that's where your mind is, then you have bought into some really weird minority bullshit out there that people are feeding you. What if she didn't even actually go to therapy? What if she just went to media training for 3 months?
I mean, that might help her too, though.
Yes. Yeah.
No, but I agree. But it always goes back to transparency, honesty. If you, like Lisa Rinna says, own it. If you own it, if you own what you did, if you own what you do surgically, if you own that you messed up with a job, whatever it is, if you own it, people can't take that from you. And I think you and I were talking about the Rachel Raquel thing when we were making fun of her name as it's really Rachel. And then she reclaimed her name. She owned her name. And then now look at us. We can't even laugh about it anymore. It's not funny.
Yeah, right.
Now it's like, now we do the awkward Rachel. That one we know, formerly known as Raquel, because we can't even make fun of it anymore because she reclaimed it. She owns it. And so just be honest. Just be transparent.
Where are you at with Sandoval going into season 11 of Vanderpump Rules?
I honestly like Rachel more than I like him, but I also like what happened was insane and awful. And if I were Ariana, I would never be able to forgive it. But as the audience, like the people are like, I will never forgive this. I'm like, why? What did he do to you? It is another day that a person cheated. Like people cheat all the time for bad reasons, horrible reasons, all the time. It is not that serious. I don't hate him. He's just going to be the villain that I like to go,
Well,
and look at you not doing as good as
I
Ariana.
said this recently, though, is that I wish you just spent like transparency, honesty, and stuff like that. I like, wouldn't it be groundbreaking if he actually was transparent and honest and said, listen, I wanted to have sex with somebody else. I did. I wanted to. I was so even, I think now looking back on it, I said it was love, but I really just wanted to sleep with this person. And it was so exciting. And the sneaking around was exciting. And I thought I wasn't being respected in my own home, even though it turns out I was. It was just that my internalization and my possible,
Right.
what's that word that we always throw around? Narcissism. My narcissism got in the way of all of my thoughts. But I think with Tom, what scares me is that Rachel had some time for self-reflection, and Tom immediately has never left the public eye. I mean, he went on Special Forces, which ended this past week. He did not win. Spoiler alert. He's still going on tour. He's pumping more money into his visuals and tour, all of these things. He's never left. He's shown up at every red carpet, every appearance, started a podcast, all of this stuff. And I wonder if in any of that, does he consider that self-reflection? Because it's definitely not personal self-reflection.
I don't even know. Like, I don't think his intention was ever to self-reflect. And I would like to say that I think his affair with Rachel, I almost said with Rachel, is really just that. And I know that's so stereotypical to say, but a midlife crisis. I think that he was around turning 40. Like, what is he, like 41? So, he was feeling this way. There's been some struggles with the bar. Like, I just feel like he was feeling some type of way. And then here comes this young, cute girl who makes him feel special. And not to say that Ariana doesn't, but like, they've been together for so long that it's hard to make someone feel special that like knows you inside and out, the good, the bad, the ugly has been there. And so here's this person who's in awe of him, that's looking up to him. And I think that's what happened. And so because he's going through a midlife crisis is what I believe, he's not self-reflecting. Right now, he's getting all the attention, even if some of it's negative. A lot of it was negative for a while, but now it's calmed down. I think that he's like, oh, I never lost my touch. Why did I doubt myself? I was doubting myself. Well, I got it. I still got it. That's what I feel.
I read on some post saying on his podcast this week, he said, yeah, dude, now I'm single. I'm ready to mingle. And I'm like, you've always been kind of single, even when you were in a relationship. I just love that he's now patting himself on the back for being like single and ready to mingle. And it's like, okay, dude. And the thing is, he's going to do great. There were tons of women and dudes that would want to sleep with him at any moment, no matter what he did. That's the power of attraction that we talked about earlier. He looks a certain way, celebrity,
and he's very attractive.
That's why I always told people about Tristan Thompson. We made the shirt "Stop Sleeping with Tristan Thompson" because it was obvious that Tristan can't do that for himself. So we as a society needed to step up and say, warn your girlfriends, warn your guy friends. If you go out tonight, you have a good time, Tristan's there, just be careful. He's not going to be able to make the right decision, so you need to.
Yeah, don't fall into bed with him. Okay, just don't do it.
This is also a so bad it's good prediction that I think is 100% true, is that I think you will see this season, Tom will be out at Schwartz and Sandy's. He has not worn a Schwartz and Sandy's hat since season 10. He wears Tom hats now when he is out and about. Schwartz still wears Schwartz and Sandy's merch. Tom does not. And they always use that as a chance to promote anything that they have is what they wear on their bodies. And I think that's very telling.
So do you think, and this is what I was thinking, I think that to buy Ariana out of his share of the house, he had to sell his share or, I don't know, something to do with Schwartz and Sandy's. Because, they're having that living situation. And she was making so much money, right, from her ads, but he obviously wasn't. And I think he needed to get the funds to buy out.
Well, I think I think half of that is true. I think the partners in Schwartz and Sandy's did not like the negative blowback that it received from that, and they didn't want to write it out. So I think it was a forced thing, but I do think that money that probably came back to him or will come back to him can be used for that. But remember, he did take a $250,000 loan from his mother, if we are to believe the show. So the mom needs to get paid back as well. And I do think with Ariana, I do know while she lives in that house, I do know she is staying elsewhere during a lot of Dancing with the Stars, which, by the way, I think Dancing with the Stars is wrapping up like this week or next week.
Yeah, she's in the top 2. Yeah, she's in the top 2. It's the finale.
Wait, I thought there were still 4 teams left. There's only 2 teams left?
Yeah, there's only 2.
It's Xochitl and Ariana? Wait,
yes,
Jason Mraz got to... listen, I only watch Ariana's stuff and I vote for her every week, but the dancing just makes me feel bad about myself because I can't move.
I'm pretty sure.
So is Monday the finale? Tonight the finale when you're hearing this? Well, go vote for Ariana, you guys.
Yeah, I think it's the final 2.
Well, here's my prediction about Vanderpump Rules is that I think Ariana will either win this thing or obviously she's going to come insanely close to winning. I think after season 10, I think there is a world in which Ariana does not need nor will want to be on Vanderpump Rules. And I think there is a world in which Rachel will come back then.
Yeah. No,
and you'll have those scenes with Tom of like, it was just so crazy, dude. It was just the public, dude, the media, dude. It ruined us. It ruined us.
Oh my God. But do you think that she would get back with him? Rachel?
I can't for 100% say she wouldn't. In fact, I heard that she was with him even deeply into her therapy retreat. Like they were still communicating. I think it got to a point, and I think that's probably when the therapy was working, was when she said she dropped contact with him. I think it was going to be.
He commented,
what's that?
He commented happy birthday, right? He commented happy birthday on her post or something, and she blocked him.
Well, remember though, she had sent a postcard of lightning strikes in like Tucson or something while she was in that thing because friend of the show, Janet Elizabeth, was like watching Ariana and Tom's house or something, and she would get the mail and she saw that, lightning bolt post. And I was like, that is wild. And there was like one call a day. I think Tom's talked about this on his podcast. And in Special Forces, Nick Viles said that he had a picture of Rachel that he snuck into the facility.
Right.
I mean, it was a nude photo, but it was still a photo, Look at my girl, dude. Look at her. Look at this nude photo, dude. But are you ready for another season of Vanderpump?
I think so. I mean, I think so. I feel like it's going to be underwhelming and people are going to be like, oh my God, I can't believe they're friends with Tom. I'm like, y'all were friends with Jax after he did all his bullshit. Why is this any different?
Oh, I mean, Jax is back in the fold now too, because his show is going to.
No, he's like, I'm not the worst guy in the group.
But I love.
I'm no longer the number 1 worst guy. I'm the number 2 worst guy.
Yeah, I know. I love that he's like bragging about that. And I'm like, dude, you're coming back on TV with your own show that'll be after Vanderpump Rules at some point in the season of Vanderpump. And my thing is with any celebrity, not just Jax, is like, be careful when you make those comebacks. Don't ruin the best thing in your life, which you say is your family. Don't put yourself in a position. Well, because myself included, men are fucking stupid. We are really smart at certain things and we are hard workers at times, lazy a lot as well. And, but at the same time, we will make the dumbest decisions in a moment's notice. And I just worry about Jax getting back in a position of being out there and like thinking you have control. It's like an addict. It's like, no, I got it. I can be around booze and drugs. I can totally do it. And then you're around it and you're like, you know what? One's not going to kill me.
One sip. Yeah, one sip. Oh, let me try that drink.
Yeah, exactly. That's what worries me, if I'm to be honest, about people like Jax returning, is that be careful what you wish for. It's great money, but like, what do you sacrifice in the end?
Right. But he's going back with Brittany. And I think the fact that they do things as a unit makes all the difference. Yeah. Like, I don't know what special like Kentucky powers Brittany has, but she reined him in without being like a weird controlling, to the best of my knowledge, not like a weird controlling, like I'm going through his phone. I track him everywhere he goes. Like none of that craziness, again, to the best of my knowledge. But somehow she reined him in.
Well, I do think she has location on his phone. I think she does track his location potentially. And I think that's smart. I think everybody should. But how much longer do you have?
In case he gets kidnapped,
exactly.
Right? Oh, I
Okay,
have
good,
time.
good.
So I'll
Let's
at
keep
least
going.
half an hour.
I wanted to bring this up. I just saw this yesterday, and I want to know your thoughts on this. You might not even know about this yet. Leah McSweeney, you guys. She was on 2 seasons of Real Housewives of New York. She did Ultimate Girls Trip.
Yeah,
Yeah, she
OnlyFans.
did Ultimate Girls Trip, and then now she was part of the Reality Reckoning, the Vanity Fair article that she has, I believe, an active lawsuit or litigation with Bravo because she believes they did not let her spend time with her grandmother before her grandmother passed away, and a litany of other things. They said she felt encouraged to drink after her sobriety. But Leah McSweeney this week has came out and said, I have started an OnlyFans, and in the first week I have made more than I did on like an episode of Real Housewives of New York, which, by the way, that's not unheard of because when you're a first season on anything, they pay
Oh no,
you because
you're
you're going
breaking
to
up.
make it eventually, and your Instagram, all the social media stuff that goes with it will make up for the low pay, or at least that's what a lot of housewives will tell you. What do you think? And by the way, I saw this on Twitter. I mean, we're talking like they're like it's her on all fours showing like, the whole back door area. I mean, I didn't see, it was like a black bar over it, but we're there. We're what is your thoughts on this? Because I think sex workers, there is nothing to be ashamed of. It is completely valid. I just think it's very interesting that it's Leah McSweeney doing this.
Well, I wanted to say we're in there like swimwear, as my friend would say when you're like, we're in it. um, Leah. So I really like Leah. We talk on Instagram all the time. So I don't know how I feel about it. I feel like it's partially because for a while she was making really good money being on the show. And then on top of that, I'm sure Married to the Mob, her line of everything was doing pretty well because, that's what we do on Housewives is we promote our stuff. Just smart, you should. But then, that kind of dwindles. It didn't continue to grow. And I feel like it's almost like taking a huge pay cut. Like imagine if you were like at a job and you make like $500,000 a year and now you're like trying your best and you make like 50K off of ads or
Yeah.
something and that's it. Like it's a huge drop. So I kind of understand like where she's coming from, but I also really don't get it because who was her fan base? Like Denise Richards, for example, being on OnlyFans, she is known to like men and women everywhere, right? I mean, she's Denise Richards. Larsa Pippen, she's known in like the guy world because of all the athletes she's dated, right? But I don't really know a lot of guys who know Leah McSweeney. So, not to say that she doesn't have like guys who are, buying her stuff, but to me, it's just weird. It's kind of like Matt Rife having 70% like female followers and then trying to like gear his stuff to men. It's like you're not talking to your audience. So who is Leah McSweeney's audience? How does she have enough guys to
Well,
cater this
but
to?
also maybe not to, bring Kyle Richards into the discussion. Maybe there's a huge female fan base that wants to see the goods. Maybe there's well, I will say like Leah, I've noticed, and I want to, in all transparency, when I started this show, I was in love with Leah McSweeney. I did extended bits on this show where I would do like me and Leah dating. I take her to the podcast awards. Like I would do this show has gone through so many weird changes, but we would make memes about me being in love with Leah McSweeney. I just thought she was such a breath of air, a breath of fresh air, even though, I mean, now, it was a lot of alcohol, but I just thought how fun to like go in there and ruffle Ramona and Sonia and Luann and really kind of really have this amazing first season. And I was in love with her. And I found she so attractive. And that's all gone for me. Like, and I love Leah unfollowed me at some point for something I did, but I've even had decent conversations. I think, I kept bugging her to come on the show. I think that pissed her off eventually. But I've had conversations about mental health care with her, about being on Lexapro, which I'm on Lexapro, and I know she had tried it at one point. Really great conversations. But I do find a certain type of New Yorker, and there's a certain type of person that's like, they listen to Red Scare podcast, they smoke, they say they're taking control of their own lives. It's like this artistic kind of Julia Fox bent. And I sometimes wonder
it's a downtown
yeah, exactly.
girl. It's
Yes,
a downtown
exactly.
girl.
And I sometimes wonder if you like buy into your own BS. I'm not meaning Leah specifically, but there seems to be this kind of element of that with a certain type of woman that I see online. That doesn't mean that's entirely who they are, but just what they present online. But we also know Leah's parents through the show. We know her daughter through the show. And I mean, like her mom must be fucking going out of her mind if it's the mom, if her mom is anything like what we met on the show.
Right. I just, I don't know. I don't know. I don't know if it was just like, hey, let me see if this sticks. Let me see if this
But
works. And
if
I
you make
don't
a lot
really
of
care what
money,
other people think about it.
if you like, it's
Right.
obviously working to that degree.
Right. But it also, like, with things like that, there's a lot of like initial subscribers like to just like
See
it, right? Like we just want to see what she's doing. But then it's like more of the like the long term. And then I have a lot of friends who do OnlyFans. It's not just do you have subscribers? Now do you have people who are paying for extra? Like send me a personal video where you're saying my name or what something like that. Like it's a personalized video that's just for me. That's what people pay for, and that's where like the big money is. So I don't know. I'm still just wondering like who is the market for this. And
well,
it's crazy to me that there is a market.
I love that my thought though when I saw this was like I was actually disappointed in myself because I was like had no desire to go and search out those photos. And I was like, what's become of me? I don't even want to see Liam. Like there was a time that I would have sold anything that I owned, which was very little, to see that. And now I have no desire. By the way, you're right though. I know of one listener that is on OnlyFans. Amy, what's up? She's awesome. But I will say, seems like the hardest working woman in show business. Like she is always working. Like I'm just like, it is like a full-time job. And I sometimes
have to maintain talking to the guys. Like they're mainly guys. Sorry. There aren't other girls that subscribe. They're mainly guys. They have to like have almost relationships. These guys aren't paying because if they wanted just that, they could go to Pornhub, right? They just wanted like some boobs.
I'm not
whatever.
sure what site you're referring to, but that's great. Good for you. Yeah.
Get them as an advertiser. Just kidding. But like what they want is that like almost like girlfriend connection. Like she knows my name. I can ask her about her day. And then she shows me everything. You know what I mean? Like they want that like connection. And so they have to talk to these guys and develop relationships. And then the guys will pay. Like I told you, oh no, I didn't tell you this. I have one friend who she gets paid like $3,000 to $5,000 a video for her to be topless and bouncing and saying the guy's name. And it's like a 4-second video.
I feel like I've got like a solid B. I have a solid B cup. If anybody wants me to throw that into a cameo, I'm happy to bounce up and down and say your name. But sounds.
$100.
It sounds like we all have our little peccadillos and what we like in that nature. But I should ask her to come on sometime and talk honestly about it under like, not use her name or anything. But also I do have one friend. I just remember this from years ago that said she's one of the people that is paid to respond to the guys and is not the actual person that the OnlyFans account is attached to. So it's her job to be that person, like acting like they're that person responding back and forth. Imagine that job.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. That's why it's so hard. They have to connect and have relationships. You have to be their dirty little girlfriend,
Oh my God. Wouldn't this be a great like Bravo After Dark show of a group of OnlyFans models and then like the actual lives that they come. Wait, by the way, Leah, make up with Bravo. You can be the head of this show. You can be the head of the OnlyFans Bravo show that I'm putting together.
You don't think it would be Larsa with her feet pics that she
Larsa is somebody interesting. Body and face work. Larsa still Larsa, Real Housewives of Miami. If you're not watching it, I love it. Larsa is on such a different planet than the rest of us. Now, she's one of my podcasting icons and heroes. She just started a podcast with Marcus Jordan. They have like 8 episodes out of the span of the last 6 months. But whatever, she knows how hard it is to do podcasting. But I always find Larsa fascinating just because she still holds true to the fact that she grew an insanely large ass because of just how life works, just how natural aging works. Is this possible in any stretch of the imagination?
If everything else grew too, yeah. No, Larsa, like, it's getting to the point that it's insulting. And I was talking to you about this. I was like, for so long, I was like, there's no way. They know we have eyes.
Yes.
There's no way they think they're fooling us. And now I'm starting to think that they've also fooled themselves. And this goes back to, this is when I had the realization. I was watching Love Has Won.
Oh my God. Love Has Won. The 3-part docuseries on Max, you guys. You've got to watch it.
Incredible. Currently my favorite cults. I love cults. I would never be maybe I would be in a cult just to like gain intel, but like to me, they're fascinating. Like, talk about a study in society and human nature. Like, the stuff that happens in any cult is just wild. But with this one in particular, I was like, what? People believe this? Literally everything she's saying is, they're like directly seeing that it's not true and they still believe it. It was just beyond fascinating. But I've always wondered, just like with celebrities, like, do celebrities believe their own lies? Do cult leaders believe their own lies? Like when they think they're God, or that, the galactics are going to come take them away, whatever it is, do they really believe that? And then this is what made it real for me with this, the, mother God. She would have moments of doubt, self-doubt, where she was like, maybe I'm not mother God. And she would go into a depression. And then like her father God or whatever, which was whatever guy she was sleeping with currently was father God, would, uplift her and be like, of course you're mother God. Like, don't doubt yourself like this. You are mother God. And she'd be like, you know what? I am mother God. Yes, you're right.
Well,
like, the universe told me. And so I think she really believes she was mother God. And so maybe Larsa really believes she just grew a butt one day.
Well, I really try to think about this. I'm like, if you're a celebrity, like the only way that you could do it without really knowing is I would tell my friends, listen, this is what I want done to my face and this is what I want done to my body. Now, if I happen to get kidnapped and knocked out and then I wake up and all this stuff has just magically been done to me, I don't know what happened. Like, that's the only way, is that like Larsa did some kind of fake kidnapping and then all of a sudden she woke up 6 months later. It's like, I don't know. I was kidnapped and then I just woke up and like I was just like keep her knocked out. So she, like, I was trying to think of the ways, like, because I just wonder if like, does she feel guilty for lying this intensely? And then if we have footage, we have photos, we have footage, we know her whole history in terms of her looks. And I don't want to ever, it's just really weird. I just sometimes, but it goes into like lying like Sandoval does or lying like this. Like what at the end of the day, what at the end of the day, why are we doing any of it? Like why lie about it if you're going to do it?
It's so embarrassing. And it also goes back to like people would relate to you more if you were just telling the truth. And we would not talk about it. Like, look, I never talk about Cardi B. Cardi B's like, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. And then I'm like, and you look incredible. Good for you. And guess what? She's not on my page and never post her because it's not even fun to talk about it when you could just go to her page and she'll tell you exactly what she did,
And she looks good. I mean, like she looks great. I mean, it looks great. I back to the Love Is One though, guys. I've talked about this in like minute detail, but what she referred to earlier a second ago in the second episode, she's dying, you guys. She's dying. She's in a really bad way, and she also is an alcoholic. But they're not calling it alcoholism. It's the medicine that Mother God needs because there's an excuse for everything. It's like she's expanding so much energy trying to save us, the world, and we don't appreciate it. So her medicine is she needs to drink constantly and put down vodka, whiskey, Mai Tais, everything. It's medicine. But what they're also doing is they're pumping her full of colloidal silver and having her drink this. And they were selling this. This was like, you would see this kind of passed around during intense quarantine times of trying to correct your own body and save yourself. And she was chugging it so much to the fact when she was dying, she literally turned blue. And there's a lot of footage of that, which was really scary. But at the end of the second episode, it comes out from these two goofballs, two followers, these two ladies that actually, one lady used to be a lawyer. And she's like, she told us she isn't Mother God and to take her to a hospital and that she made all this up. And we were like, of course you would say that. Oh, Mother God, you're so silly. Like she said, I made all this up. Take me to a hospital. I'm dying. And they said, we knew you would say that. Mother God, please stop. And like, that was so sad to me, is that when people buy into your own bullshit and then the leader of it even says, guys, I'm actually fucking dying. I made this up potentially. Please take me to a hospital. No, we're not going to do that, Mother God. We knew you would say that and you don't want us to do that. I found that the part that like just broke my heart, because also their bullshit that they were like, they didn't really even have good, it made me long for the days of like Nixium and, like where they actually had some kind of like foundation of beliefs. And this was all kind of like a little bit of here, a little bit of there, but it wasn't any overall message. It was just like, let's be as fucked up on alcohol and drugs as we possibly can. But then there were still people that believed that. And that made me so sad. And that's why I even think with pop culture, there's always going to be Sandoval fans. There's even no matter what he does, like it doesn't matter. There will always be somebody buying your bullshit.
I agree with that. And what was crazy with this one in particular is usually, and I've watched I like true crime and cult documentaries. With almost every cult documentary, I know I would say every single cult documentary I've ever watched, besides this one, at some point the followers become disillusioned. Like when they die or when something doesn't come to fruition, or then they see that they murdered everyone, like, oh, I got out just in time. And then they killed everybody. Like, they're disillusioned. This woman has multiple, not just like one rogue, crazy person, multiple people who are still like, we're still waiting for the Galactics. I can still see her in the stars.
Yeah, they're still
And
buying
doing
into it.
their little
Yeah,
show.
and guys, Robin Williams. Robin Williams was one of her, she had a constant communication with the dead Robin Williams. She was also Donald Trump's daughter. I mean, you've got to watch this docu. It is batshit. But even afterwards, and the Galactics are these, the people that I guess they were supposed to pick her body up in a spaceship. And of course, turns out the Galactics never picked up her body, and they even made an excuse for that, oh, it's bad traffic up there in the skies, who knows, it's always an excuse.
Traffic control is confused,
and that's what I find funny. It's oh wow, man, and even she went live before she died, and she only got 8 people on her Instagram live, and she was Deepak Chopra would get more than this. And I'm yeah, Deepak Chopra has this intense dogma that he actually pushes out. Even if you don't believe it, he does put in some sort of work. You're just getting high and then going live on things. And I found that so sad, because it's that intersperse of everybody wants to be a pop star these days. Everybody wants attention. It doesn't matter if it's religion, reality, music, sports. We have an attention economy, and everybody wants a piece of it. But I just thought that's fun. Dana, at this point, you could stop this and you could rebrand as a guru. You could rebrand as Mother God. You are the new Mother God.
I totally could. And, we were talking about corporate jargon speak, and then celebrities have their little speak. Then you've got the health and wellness guru speak, and it's oh, just aligning our chakras to the universe, but with the mistletoe, because it'll direct you to the North Star of Mother God. You just say a bunch of phrases from a lot of different religions and add in something naturey, and then you sound like you're enlightened or something. And it's that is from 7 different religions. What are you doing?
Well, then, she said, she picked a father god, and it would be the latest guy she was sleeping with. And the last father god, he was a meth head, alcoholic, in and out of jail. But it was also, there was this kind of tinge of sadness I had for him, because when he met her for the first time, she pulled him aside and said, "You are so brilliant. You are so smart." And he goes, "I was never told that in my life, that somebody thought I was brilliant." And then he goes, "I am brilliant." And I just thought that's what it is that we all want to be beautiful. We all want to be told that we are something that we never thought about ourselves that we wanted to be. And she did this. She told this guy that he was brilliant. And this guy is not brilliant. I'm telling you, he is a fucking kook. And he now still thinks he is Father God. And he's out there doing Tai Chi in the wind and weird shit. But that's what we want.
While drinking the beer.
He's dancing right
He took a sip of beer, and I was like, you know what? That sounds
Oh, God, it is so worth your time to watch. And okay, so we got to start winding down here, but I just wanted to get your thoughts really quick on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Did you watch this week's episode?
Yes.
What are your thoughts? We finally got to meet. I'm Morgan Wade. She stalked me. Well, I've never seen somebody so giddy in my life to be around somebody.
Okay, for someone who's from Tennessee, and I've lost a lot of my accent, but it's still there. And I have friends who have a lot thicker accents. That was the thickest Southern accent I have ever heard in my life, first of all. I don't know if she was heavy-handed with it or what, but it was a little much for me. No, they are acting like 2 teenagers that that have never ever dated anybody before.
It's high school.
They're not just
it's high school.
Yes, it's not just early on in romances. At this point, we're all adults. Even if you're starting new and you are a little giddier, or you are a little more excited about someone, it still isn't to that level. It's literally like children watching children. And then I don't know if you caught this. When first of all, Kyle is hosting this weed party. She's not invited to this weed party. That she's just I don't know what I'm gonna do. If I turn it down, people are gonna think like if you were invited to a weed party and you were like, I don't really know, like I don't really partake, like how am I going to say this already? Talking about my drinking or lack thereof. Like, girl, you're hosting the party. Just don't have the party.
But also, did you have Morgan was
but
like, well, then you told
well,
me you weren't gonna do it, so just don't do
yeah.
it.
So that's what I was gonna say. Did you catch that? Like that is not like a friend thing. It sounds like a partner who's like, "Oh, you promised me you would be sober. You promised me that this was the end of it, and here you are. You're going out with your friends, and are you going to be okay? Are you going to be okay? Not taking a drink. Like that's what it felt like to me. Like a partner, not. I mean, if it was a friend of many years, and they're like, oh, like she really had a problem. And I'm not saying Kyle had a problem at all. I don't think she did. But like if you saw your friend in and out like of rehab and then you're like, oh, I'm really scared for you. This felt like a relationship. Like it felt like I told you to be sober and it looks like you're towing the line of sobriety right now. You didn't tell me you're gonna be California sober. You said sober. And I'm a little bit upset with it.
I mean,
But make it very
Well,
country.
Kyle says, you taught me to never judge a book by its cover. Like they've already taught each other deep things. And then also Kyle's like in another talking head, she's like, you know, me and Morgan, we like to work out. We like to be sober. And I was like, God, I've never heard the word we used so much with Kyle. Like there's a we all of a sudden, a we. And by the way, I'm not even saying this is yet a sexual relationship, but it is a hardcore Fried Green Tomatoes. If you haven't seen that movie, look it up. There is a sisterhood of the traveling pants thing happening here that is so deep at a time where Kyle is making so many changes. And that's why people can say Sutton's a kook all you want, but Sutton's got a point. What's going on with you, Kyle?
Okay, so first of all, like Sun wasn't saying the right words. Like she was just saying, your workout schedule. But what she was saying is sudden life changes. It doesn't have to be working out. It could be suddenly I'm going on yachts every day. I dye my hair blonde, get a boob job, and I'm on yachts every day. People be like, "What the fuck happened? Like, where is this coming from?" This was a lot of change very suddenly, and so that's what I think she was trying to get at. And when people kept saying it's really rude for her to bring up her marriage or maybe like problems in her marriage at the table, she tried to bring it up privately twice. Kyle forced her to say it at the table. And then everyone's like, oh, sorry. That's why I'm like, they're like,
yeah.
Did she bring it up at the table? I was like, she tried multiple times to talk. I mean, I know she talked.
Yeah, and Garcelle finally was like, her marriage. That's what we're talking about.
Also, the tabloids are everywhere. This wasn't like they're putting something out there that we're not already talking about at the time of filming. You know what I mean? Like,
but also, I guess, I just don't. But it's like Kyle always says, and like what we talked about earlier, the concept of just be honest. Life is crazy. Weird shit happens. And I will say, like, I was at that Variety Women in Reality event the other night and Kyle spoke and she was asked this brilliant question by Kate Arthur about coming into this season. And I saw her the night after I just watched the East Coast feed. So it was a fascinating night to see her. And she talked about like, listen, I knew going into this season that we had major issues and she goes, I've been told I don't have a good poker face, but we hadn't even told our kids yet. She said this. I put this clip up on my Instagram and I was like, wow, Kyle is kind of admitting here that this had already taken place with her and Mauricio by the time cameras went up for filming this season. So that's why I think these scenes that we see with her and Mo are so tension filled and so bratty of like, I'll get as many tips as I want. I'll get as many tattoos as I want, daddy, because it is already on that downhill slope.
Right. So this is what I think about their marriage. And this is from a lot of like followers. I do tea time where people like tell me things about their regular life or, sometimes about celebrities that pertain to them. And I've had people for years tell me that they've hooked up with Mauricio. His favorite places are Dallas, Toronto, Miami, and New York City.
So I love hooking up in Dallas. I love it. I love it.
No, hey, like I know people I personally know people who have seen him or been with him in Dallas.
Oh, wait. Now you went from seeing him to I know people who have been with him.
Yes, both. I know one person who she says she's been with him. I mean, I can't, again, it's secondhand knowledge for me.
Is he a generous lover?
She said he's
See,
great.
that's what even the Reddit threads I had read, and I'm talking years ago before I even did this podcast, talked about, I think, Mauricio potentially cheating in Scottsdale, and this lady was raving about him. Like, I was like, you know, a lot of guys were like, this guy's a dirtbag, he cheated with, like, this guy was amazing. Like, they all had complimentary things to say about Mauricio.
Yes. And they all, so not they all, the ones that have told me that they've hooked up with Mauricio, this girl in Dallas, also one of the girls that works, she's like somebody, I don't know, at a hotel. She does like events or whatever. She's like, yeah, like he comes here quite often. Not allowed to say where, but they'll know who she is. Anyway, they like, I've been told that they have an understanding or an open relationship. And what one of the girls told me was what I gained from his information, what he was trying to tell me was like he just had to keep it out of keep it out of Kyle's town, which is why he goes to Dallas. I mean, he goes for business, but why he goes to Dallas and Toronto, maybe Scottsdale, why he has these hookups there is that she said, stay out of Beverly Hills. Like, don't, get in the same pond, basically. And so I've always thought that they've had this understanding. That's probably why all these women also raved. Like, they're like, he never felt like dishonest or like, oh, like he was cheating, whatever. Anyway, so I don't think Mauricio cheated. I think that they had always had an open relationship. And this is what I think happened. And I've heard some things about Kyle. This is what I think happened. I think Kyle then met Morgan, became enamored with her. And Mauricio was like, this goes against our agreement. That, like, we said, I don't know their rules, but I'm going to make some up that kind of makes sense. Like we said, just, strangers, no relationships. We don't see them more than twice or whatever their rules are. And now you're hanging out with her, going to the gym with her. People are talking, getting tattoos, following her on tour, telling everyone that you're friends.
Making a documentary about her, making a music video with her.
Yes. Like, at that point, like, as her love interest, like at this point, if they do have an open relationship, she's definitely overstepped whatever their rules or boundaries are. And if you're in an open relationship and you overstep those boundaries, that's when it becomes cheating. So I think Kyle's only.
I want to say this is speculation, expert speculation, but speculation. Don't come at us, Tree Pain. Hey, Tree Pain, if you're out there, do not come. We're not saying anything about Taylor. This is about Mo and Kyle.
Yes, this is what I believe. And this is just what makes sense to me. And what I've always learned is usually the simplest explanation is the most likely.
What is that? Was that Occam's razor? Is that what's that like the easiest? Yeah, it's. I mean, you're right.
Yeah,
but I
how otherwise has he been quote cheating for many, many, many years, arguably, and nothing has happened. It's never like it sounds like he's followed the rules, and suddenly she's enamored with this person. Oh, you cannot tell me they're just friends.
I said they're in full like, you hang up first. No, you hang up first. No, you like, let's stay on the phone all night. Yes, exactly. I said, this reminds me of my high school first love. Like, that's what it reminds me of when I see this. So I'm so curious because also Kyle's doing this really interesting thing of putting it out there and pulling back and pulling, like she wants us to speculate. She wants her friends. And also she is going through this major life change, which also seems to be the major life change that Morgan Wade has already gone through. So I find that interesting as well. And I think she has a mental clarity. By the way, maybe Kyle Richards is Mother God. Maybe she is the next Mother God, Kyle Richards. But I think I am completely here for it. I just think that her and Mauricio are donezo. And if you watch this week's episode and then go watch Paris in Love season 2, you will find a really fascinating portrayal of two of the Hilton family members, Kyle and Kathy. And it is wild. And I think there will be someday in 15 years now, a 5-part docuseries just about their family and Big Kathy, their mom, and how it made them feel and how they took that into their lives.
Yeah, like Conrad in there, and you had Paris and Nikki. I mean, it could be like a whole season or two. It could be like The Crown.
Yeah, well, God, I mean, kind of. I mean, like we don't, like you said at the beginning, we don't have royals, but we have Kardashians. I just watched that House of Kardashians on Peacock, which was interesting. But I think even 20 years from now, that's going to be an even more insane documentary. I've got to let you go because we've already gone an hour and a half, and I know you got to get out of here. But also, one last thing. Somebody pointed this out to me. I always say it sounds like Mauricio is going love bean. But then somebody said on their closed captioning, it said lapine, Lapin, which means rabbit. So what is Mauricio saying? Love bean or lapine?
Lapine, I think.
Love bean. No, I want it to be love bean though. Love bean's so much stupider.
You know what? Live your truth. If that's your truth,
Okay, well, we didn't like, guys, there's 80 more topics we could cover, but hopefully you'll come back way sooner than last time. At IG Famous by Dana Omari, what else do you have coming up that we can support you with this holiday season?
Honestly, if you just watch the series with Dr. Ashley Steinberg, we're just talking about plastic surgery.
And what's it called?
Really
Slipping the nip? Like, nipping the slip? What is it called? Nip slip. Sorry. I tried to make it sound more poetic. Yeah. Slipping the nip.
Yeah, we are trying to make it a little bit more and more salacious, but she is a professional, and she's like, "Let me talk about the real plastic surgery." And I was like, "Now tell me about the bowel plastic surgery." She's like, "Oh, I can't do that." So we're trying. But also, really, just you guys need to write in and tell Ryan we want Dana on more. That's what I would really like. Thank
guys, if you write in, she'll be on. No, I mean she'll be on more anyways. It's just it is funny though. It's like time means nothing anymore, and all of a sudden, like 6 months will go by, and it'll be like, oh, I just talked to her the other day, and I guess like was the last time we talked like at the beginning or the end of Scandival? Like I don't even remember when that.
I guess it was. We were talking about maybe me being back on the show, but then
that just happened.
And then also, again, so sorry to hear about your mother. And you just had a very intense.
Dude, it's still, I was talking last night. It's still so intense. Like, it is still, like, I had a really bad night last night. And even after seeing Beyonce, that was great. But I was just, there's like things that still come up. And I'm trying to be good, but they're just like things that'll just hit you like an emotional wave or just kind of deadens you on the inside. Sorry to leave this on a cheery note, but it's really, really fascinating. Also, I want to think this is really funny, you guys. I somehow have Dana's number in my cell phone as Dana Wilkie. So I fucking finally got sleep on Friday night and I wake up to a text from Dana Omari, but it's under Dana Wilkie of like, hey, so I'm going to come on the show on. And I was like, did I say Dana Wilkie's coming on the show? I was so confused. And I was like, actually, no, maybe like next week or something. And then who was you who I had already asked to be on the show, but it was under Dana Wilkie. I felt like such an idiot, but I was slept so hard. I was so confused.
No, it's totally fine. I mean, at least you got Dana right.
No, but I was just like, how the fuck did this happen?
You're half right.
Okay, so go follow her. You probably already do, and she'll be back on much sooner next time. Dana, always amazing to talk to you. This was so fun. I really appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Ryan.